Hi there, I'm Sarah, and in this video I want to share with you my view of spirituality and how it is not about having ecstatic experiences of altered states of consciousness, but how real spirituality is about making a very conscious choice in everything that you do in your daily life, from every thought, every word, every action, every choice, every single thing. Hi, I'm Sarah. I am a traditional Usui Reiki master teacher, a holistic life coach, and a yoga teacher. I have been practicing for 20 years. I have been teaching for about 10, and I have gone through very intense monastery style training to become the teacher I am today. And I used to have a yoga studio where I kept my doors locked so people wouldn't come in without an appointment, and the energy would just kind of attract people to the studio. And now I'm working online, and I am learning that the idea of spirituality, the concept of spirituality, is oftentimes misunderstood. I had been off of social media for years, and I've recently just taken the leap to go out there and try and get out into the community and share some of my insights and experience. And one of the things that I'm learning is that oftentimes people think that spirituality is about having these powers of like clairvoyance or hearing things, or having these out-of-body experiences. And yeah, there's some experiences that you can have as you go through the journey and raise your vibrational frequency, but they are certainly not the goal. They are a byproduct of a higher energy frequency, and if you have not been properly trained, you could actually get lost in these experiences and then maybe spend time searching for them again and feel frustrated that you can't gain that altered state of consciousness that you once achieved. And it could be a very frustrating and interesting experience to have something like that and then come back to the world and you have no idea what to do with it, how to apply it. You just feel out of place, like the things that people told you you were supposed to do and have, go to school and get a job and buy a house and get married and have a couple of kids and then save for retirement and go to Florida. Now all of that does no longer appeal to you because you've had this interest in static experiences of awakening, but then you don't know what to do with them. And so then a lot of people end up going from teacher to teacher, from studio to studio, from one modality to another, where they travel all the way to India and all around the world trying to find these gurus or these teachers that are supposedly going to uplift them. I got news for you. You could throw it all out the window. It might be helpful. I'm not saying it isn't. All I'm saying it's not sustainable. It's not the goal. It's really not going to get you to where you need to go. And so, okay, fine. You probably understand that. If you're still watching, you understand that, and you understand that there's a lot of woo-woo spirituality out there that's going to get you nowhere. It's going to give you this temporary relief and this temporary ecstasy and this temporary joy, but then you won't know what the heck to do with it once you go back to your real life and your real job and your real family and your real relationships. So, over 20 years of practicing and 12 years of intense training, I can tell you what this should look like on a regular basis. This means that every conversation that you have with every human being that you encounter is a real, honest, truthful, no masks, no covers conversation. This means that you don't compromise your integrity for anything. You are completely fearless in everything that you do, and the sound of your voice and the quality of everything that you do and say and think has so much power because it's coming without filters. It's coming without doubt. It's coming from a deep connection to your spirit. And so what I help you do as a spiritual teacher is the first thing that we do is we create a mindfulness practice practice that helps you to gain clarity. That practice is going to be different for everyone. That is going to depend on your background, on so many different things. I sometimes get people and I literally tell them to just please stop meditating, because you're just creating more suffering for yourself, because you're so stressed and so confused that when you sit in meditation, you just sit with that noise and you don't even know what to do with it, and it's an unpleasant experience. Your mindfulness practice should never be unpleasant. It should be enjoyable, it should be systematic, it should feel right for you, and it should give you the correct result, which is clarity and equanimity. Not necessarily happiness, not necessarily ecstasy, not necessarily joy. You might have some of those experiences, and good for you. Please do not get attached to them, because if you then spend time trying to recreate them and get back to that state, you're going to suffer even more. So your practice needs to be practical, it needs to be enjoyable, it needs to be systematic, it needs to be customized for your specific needs. And then that gives you just enough consciousness to see how you think, how you feel, how you interact with the world, all of the patterns that you repeat consciously or unconsciously. It gives you the clarity to see how your ancestral programming and the collective programming is accepting your perception of reality. It's affecting your perception of what's possible. It's affecting the perception of the choices that you have. It's affecting the choices that you make. And so that mindfulness practice gives you the clarity. Unfortunately, that's just not enough, because you might be able to see it, and you might be able to see the bubble that you're in, and you might be able to see the limitations. But without a teacher that can kind of burst your bubble with love and kindness, it's not always easy to know what's on the other side. Okay, so you know what's not right, you know what's not working, you know why you're stuck, you know the patterns, the negative patterns and emotions that you keep repeating, but you might not necessarily know what the opposite of that is, because that's the only point of reference that you know. So in order to actually create a different reality, you need a new point of reference, and this is where teachers come in. The problem nowadays with the way that spirituality is taught is people jump from one teacher to another, from one modality to another. They go to India, they go to Tibet, they go here, they go there, trying to quote unquote find themselves, and they don't have a teacher who actually walks through every single conversation in your week. And I'm talking about, what is it that triggered you about what your kids did? What is it that triggered you about what your coworker did? What is it that triggered you about? Because this is your practice. This is your gym. This is this daily life. In whatever work you do and whatever task God has assigned to you, that's your training ground. It's not enough to take a break and go meditate for a while. It's not enough to go traveling around the world and taking, you know, a sabbatical for many months and then come back to your life. Your life is your practice. Every action, every word, every conversation, every choice, something as simple as someone invites you to a party that you don't want to go to, and for whatever reason, you don't have the courage to, from a place of loving kindness and respect towards yourself, not a bit of aversion for what you're for what they're doing. They're just doing what they're doing and they're enjoying their party. But let's say that you don't want to go. Can you, from a place of loving kindness, say, you know, thank you for the invitation, but I am choosing to spend more time in nature, and I'll rather spend the afternoon alone. So simple. And yet, most of the time, we don't have the courage to do that. We'll make up an excuse, and we'll, you know, I don't know, may even create noise in our head like, oh, they're crazy, I'm so much better than them, I don't even interact in the world anymore. That's spiritual egotism. That's not good either. And so spirituality is a practice that you live every single day, in everything that you do and every choice that you make. And if you're not doing that, then it doesn't matter how many ecstatic experiences you might have had, you are still going to experience inner conflict and confusion. And so as a teacher, what I do is I help you see, I help you design a practice that works for you so you can gain that clarity. And then I'm gonna walk with you every step of the way, literally diving deep into every tiny little thing that you could possibly think of. Like, there's no stone left unturned. There's no single thought that does not matter. There's no single action or word or interaction that does not matter. Everything adds up. And a lot of the times as we get older, we've put so many layers of mind-created limitations and constrictions in our system that we're literally about to like burst. We don't even know how to break free from our own created shackles. And so a lot of the times I'm not really helping people to find some, you know, divine answer. You already know. You just don't know that you know, because you haven't been given permission. Not that I need to give you permission. I don't need to give you permission. I just need to give you a clear mirror for you to see yourself and what you do and how you think, and then kind of begin to dive a little bit deeper to understand. Unfortunately, even that's not enough, because you could understand all you want, and in the modern world, there's a lot of people that can help you and have these talks to understand why you do the things you do. In addition to understanding, you then have to take action. You then have to actually stop and do something different than you would have done. And by doing that, by taking that next step of making that difficult and uncomfortable choice, you actually begin to recreate the energy patterns in your system. It's through that process of recreating and like kind of rewiring your brain to see differently, to think differently, to react differently, that you actually begin to uplift your vibrational frequency. And so when we talk about moving away from fear and towards light and love, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about shifting our vibrational frequency to a place where we are willing to see, and we are willing to change, and we are willing to do whatever it takes to create the change that we are looking for. And so that is what I wanted to come and share with you today, because I have had a very interesting experience coming out on the internet, trying to, you know, share these insights about spirituality. And like I said, I lived in a bubble for a very long time, and as I come out into the social media world and start to see what people think of spirituality, I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, where did you get this idea that like that's just not how it works? It has to be practical, it has to be real, it has to be applied. All of the principles that you might learn on any text, whether it's, you know, Christianism or Judaism, or whether it's the yoga teachings of the yamas and niyamas, or Buddhism or whatever, all of that, you can know it all. And if you are not taking each one of these teachings and applying them to every thought, every word, every action on an everyday basis, then you're not on a spiritual path. I'm sorry, you can know all you want, and you might have all the ecstatic experiences that you want, and you're not on a spiritual path. And at the same time, you can be on a spiritual path and be living the right way and never have some of those crazy out-of-body experiences, because like I said, oftentimes they're just a byproduct, and if you don't even know how to manage them, you might actually misuse them, get lost in them. They might even create more suffering, and it's certainly not gonna really raise your vibrational frequency on a sustainable way. The way that you raise your vibrational frequency in a sustainable way is by consciously living your life from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, each and every single day. It's not a very exciting path, to tell you the truth. It's actually quiet. There's not a lot of, you know, things to be excited about. There's a lot of introspection. There's a lot of constant reflecting and seeing what you need to change, there's a lot of sometimes discomfort of once you see something and you have to take a different action that might be unfamiliar to you and different than what you're used to. You might have to get out of your comfort zone and you might have to push through that. And then little by little, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's something that happens over weeks, months, years. Little by little, you then become grounded into this new vibration of true acceptance and love and kindness and an open heart towards anything that comes to you. And it's from that place of being grounded in that self and being really connected to your spirit, to your intuition, to your inner guidance, that then you could actually serve by just being present with those around you. And then you bring peace to your work environment, you bring peace to your family, you bring peace to your friends. That's how true spiritual growth is measured. It's not measured by what you achieve or the experiences that you have externally. It's measured by the amount of peace and contentment with which you do everything that you do in your life. It's measured by the amount of awareness and consciousness and the dedication and effort that you put in into continuously moving towards light and love on every tiny little decision and conversation that you have and that you make. So if this is something that resonates with you, check out my website. There's a link at the bottom of this post. I have a 90-day awakening and empowerment program where I literally walk with you for 90 days hand on hand, kind of teaching you how to apply these insights and knowledge that you already have within and empower you to really step forward and set those boundaries and say and speak your truth and live your truth. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Sarah. I am a traditional Usui Reiki master teacher, holistic life coach, and yoga teacher, and I am here to serve you whenever you're ready. The teacher opens the door, but you must enter by yourself, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.